Welcome to Santa Barbara Talks with Josh Molina. It's such a pleasure today to be here with three San Marcos High School superstars that I've had the fortunate ability to meet in recent days because of my coverage of the Santa Barbara Unified School District. And they have been gracious enough to come on the show and talk about everything that is going on with Santa Barbara Unified and their effort to lay off teachers, which includes music teachers, theater teachers. Up to 85 pink slips went out. Now, not that many people will be laid off, but we don't know exactly how many and who they are. And this is a big deal to the three people on this show, as well as so many of the students around the district who rely on all of these teachers. But specifically today, we're going to talk about music and theater and sort of the mood of what's going on, at least at San Marcos High School. I want to welcome Santa Barbara teen star Naomi Jane Voigt and Chloe Voigt, who's also an amazing singer, and Kian Strenn, who I was able to meet a couple years ago during the San Marcos High School walkouts to Tucker's Grove. So it's been a pleasure to see and talk to you again today. Welcome, all of you, to the show. I
Thank you
appreciate it.
for having us.
Yes, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so much, Josh, for always showing up to all of our protests and events. We really are so grateful for all your support and coverage because that's the only way we can really reach everyone in the community and spread awareness is if we have news coverage of it. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm a local kid. I went to DP. We don't have to fight about that, but I went to DP a while back. I have a 19-year-old son who went to DP. He's at UC Berkeley now. And I have a fifth grader who's going to be in the Santa Barbara Unified in a couple of years when she goes to junior high. So that matters to me, but it just matters so much to this community. So I appreciate it. Let's dive right in. And maybe I can send the first question to you, Naomi Jane. There was a huge school board meeting. It lasted till 2:30 in the morning, and the school district decided to send these RIF notices, this reduction in force notices. So much public comment. The board said so many things. In the end, after listening to all of you talk, a majority said, we're going to try to prioritize other positions. But as we know, the next day went out and everybody who was on the original list got the notices. Naomi Jane, talk to me about how you're feeling about what the district is doing right now with potentially laying off all of these teachers.
I think I can speak for a lot of people when I say that I'm hurt and I'm offended and I'm frustrated for the teachers and just for how this is going to impact the students. I think being a student at San Marcos, I understand how important these teachers are, especially the music and arts teachers, but also all the other teachers that received RIFs. I think that it is just truly unfair that they chose that when there are other solutions that they could have taken the time and with better planning to find these solutions. Instead, they just went with the easiest thing they could do, which doesn't mean that it's the easiest thing for other people to deal with. Meaning it doesn't mean it's the right thing or the right thing that they should have done. So I'm hurt. I feel like I can speak for a lot of the students that came to speak at that meeting that we do not feel heard. Especially after speaking for several of hours, which is very surprising to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And listening, it was something like 80 people speaking, and almost, everybody was saying, don't do this. It was pretty remarkable. Chloe, what's your take on this situation?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I couldn't attend the meeting in person because, ironically, while this was happening, I was attending a choir competition with the San Marcos Royal Knights. But I remember I was just watching the meeting with my little AirPods in, and I was talking to my friend, and I was like, why do they keep avoiding the students? They kept pushing us back and back and back, and they were trying to get rid of us. And I'm just also offended by the fact that their job is to listen to us and make school a better place for us, but they don't want to listen to us, and they just want to ignore us and just do what's easiest for them. And I think that's so deeply offensive because that's their job. It's literally what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You got a couple minutes to talk, and that's really difficult to articulate a full, comprehensive explanation of the situation. And it sort of feels like they're going through the motions, like we have to hear this and on to the next one. Kian, you were there. I saw you. You get a blanket wrapped around you.
Oh
You were there
yeah,
the whole
yeah.
night.
We were there till
Well,
almost 3 a.m. We wanted to maintain our support the whole way through because um we wanted to show how much this really meant to us, and we wanted to be there when they were voting to look them in the eye and be like, "Is this really what you're choosing for us?" Um, yeah, I think they might have. They seems like they've just lost perspective on what it is that really matters at schools, which is clearly the students. And the biggest impact on students is what you do with the teachers, because they're the people that directly contact them. It's not the administration. It's not the people at the district level. It's the teachers. So when we're making cuts, it is the most important thing that we cut not or cut the furthest away from the students that we can, and that's something that they are not willing to face.
right. There are many reasons for their financial issues. One of them, they say, was part of the settlement with the teachers that we had to pay the teachers more this year, the following year, and that's part of it. There's also uncertainty on a federal level. They won't know how much money they're going to get from the state. A lot of thinking about it from an economics point of view. I didn't hear them sort of thinking too much about it from an on the ground student perspective. Naomi Jane, do you have solutions, suggestions for them? Because they keep saying we're in a difficult spot. We don't have the money. What are we going to do? It sounds like, from what I heard, that there are specific suggestions on where they could cut. Naomi Jane, where do you think they could cut?
I mean, the easiest and I think the most like the best solution they could do is it's to cut from the top and not the bottom. I mean, here I have a graph which shows that this is from 2021 to 2023. This is how their salaries have increased over the years, and this is the decrease of enrollment in schools. So as you can see, they like to blame that it's the arts fault that they don't have enough money, so they're trying to cut, like the teachers and the arts programs and all that stuff. But while they're doing that, they're putting that money that they could be obviously putting into the programs and keeping these teachers, they're putting that money into their own pockets. So like I said, it would be, I think the best solution would to look in other places, which Caffrey, I think that's her name, talked about in the meeting. There's other solutions that if we took the time, and like I said, with better planning, which is their fault, they could have found the right solutions to prioritize their students. But instead, they chose to put all this money in their own pockets, and then they're blaming it and they're punishing the teachers and the students for a mistake that they're not willing to fix because it will jeopardize their salaries. So like I said, I think that the solution, the easiest one and the best one would be that we should start cutting from the top and not the bottom.
Yeah, the district, Hilda Maldonado hired a COO. First time the district has ever had that position. And of course, everyone's nice. This is not a personal thing. Steve Venz is nice, but that position the district has not had before, and that's 250 to $80,000 depending on with benefits. That's a significant position that the district before seemed to be able to get along without having, and you just wonder why not. And I know that sounds harsh, right? Well, Josh, that's one guy's job, and he has to make a living. But those teachers, that's their job too. And proportionally, somebody who makes that much money statistically can handle that impact more than a teacher could. And so I think it's interesting. And then the enrollment, something like 15% down. So it's like, why is spending increasing when enrollment is down? Chloe, can you talk a little bit about your personal experience with music? I think you're a freshman at San Marcos, right? So
Yes.
what has this experience meant to you? Help people understand why it's so important.
As a freshman, last year I didn't have a lot of friends in middle school. Most of my friends were seventh graders when I was in eighth grade. So coming into San Marcos, I really only had one really good friend that I knew would stick with me. So choir became like a community to me. All of my friends now I met through theater and choir, and it's I want to keep that because it meant so much to me to have a place where I felt like I had people to go to. I had friends. I felt like I had this, we built such a close community, and I don't want them to take that away for the future students coming in too, because it really makes high school a lot less scary and just, I just feel like I have a big group of girls that have my back, and music is the way you can express yourself, and I just want to make sure everyone has a chance to experience that with no cost. Because I know an issue too is outside of schools, music and theater can cost thousands of dollars, and I know a lot of students don't have access to the money to pay for that. So in schools, it's free, and I think we should keep it that way so that everyone has a chance to build that community and find that passion.
Right. And I did happen to see you in Hadestown, which I was
Oh,
there. I was there with my daughter and my wife, and we were there because we were invited. And it was like, wow, what an amazing performance. Of course, at that time, I don't know anyone who's
That was
in it,
incredible.
but
Yeah.
that was pretty amazing. Um, Naomi Jane, you obviously have some status in the community, outside the community as a singer. Talk to the audience about, basically the same question. What do these programs, what have they meant to you? Because I think, and I've got a couple of comments on my YouTube channel, social media, where people are saying, well, what about all those kids who don't do music and theater? Why are these programs more important than maybe some other programs? And they're all important is the answer, but talk about what it's meant to you to have these programs available to you and how they've helped change your life.
Yeah, well, I think I've talked to you before, and I said this at the board meeting too, that music is my form of therapy, and it has saved me and many other people in many ways. I can speak for a lot of students that aren't in the music programs. Half the students wear AirPods throughout the whole entire day listening to music, which the teachers already don't really like because they like, take out your AirPods. But music is a daily thing in students' educations, whether they are participating in these programs or they're in math class just listening to music on their AirPods. But I wanted to add on to something Chloe said about how she felt welcomed and she felt safe in the choir room and in the musical theater room. And I think this is also with a band room. I think that the district is putting all this money into these wellness centers and really focusing, oh, look at all this good we're doing. We're making wellness centers for these kids to benefit like mental health and all that stuff. I think that we have wellness centers, and those wellness centers are the band room, is the choir room, is the musical theater room, because it is so therapeutic to be able to walk into a room with people that have all the same interests as you, and you're able to express yourself and share emotions and that interest with other people. It is such a beautiful connection to have with a person, is to share an interest and to express an emotion on the same level and have an understanding with that person. So I think music means to my life is music. As you see, I won Teen Star. I would not have been able to get on that stage or talk in front of the board members if it wasn't for music and theater, because it gives students skills they need just for normal day life. It gives them confidence. It gives them determination. It helps them with memorization, which is needed for every class. So, I mean, I think that music is a lifesaver. I think that music has benefited everyone in ways that maybe they don't know. But yeah, music is so important, and it's hurtful I can speak for more than just the music kids, that they want to take that away. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's totally true what Chloe said as well about people can't afford a lot of private
Mm-hmm.
lessons. And that's a problem. So the public schools should be able to offer that. And people will leave, maybe they'll try to go to a private school or go somewhere else. And that's not good we want our public schools to be competitive and the place where a majority of people go. We don't want there to be sort of separation de facto based
Yeah,
off.
we want our school to be a community, and part of that community is our arts and our music programs. And I mean, I'm one of the luckier ones where I was able to afford singing lessons and music classes. But being that I have friends that can't afford to go to college for music to pursue their dreams, when thousands of dollars worth of scholarships through our district, through our programs. So it's an opportunity to allow students to pursue something that they want to do in the future rather than only doing what their school is making them do. Because if they're just told to do math and English, they might not be given the skills and what they need to do to pursue their dreams later in life.
Yeah, that's totally true. Kian, let me ask you, you're ASB president. What is the mood of the campus when it comes to what students are thinking? Is this just a few music theater teachers and students, or is the whole school sort of like really fed up with what's going on at the district?
Oh no, I mean it is of course right now the focus is the arts, but I do want to make it clear that these cuts did not specifically target the arts, but it was rather that they had we have a total of 295 class takes, which includes a bunch of electives, so students have options of what they want to take. We could offer a minimum of 220 to get students to be able to graduate. Um, and what they're doing is they're reducing each high school from 295 to 280.
Hmm.
And so, but what they are sort of disregarding is the fact that the arts are a are it's almost like a one person program, like vocal music. That's Miss Pantage's only pretty much. And when it comes to like science, there's like six different teachers, and their argument, of course, was like, well, why do you care more about arts than anything else? But it's like this. It's not just one teacher. It's a culture that's been built at these schools. Like we have award winning bands and vocal music, and if you get rid of one of those teachers, that completely messes with the culture at our school. And I mean, we're lucky because I don't think any of our San Marcos's teachers are of the bottom half, because the way the cuts work are based on tenure. So none of our arts teachers are young or new, but it's not the same for Santa Barbara. I know that Santa Barbara High School, I think I've already heard two different arts teachers get RIF notices. And but the unfortunate thing about this is that even though we aren't getting any cuts for our teachers, the class takes are going to get cut. So it's possible that Miss Pantages has to teach, instead of like having Ashante, Mads, Royal Knights, and all that stuff, she has less. And she might have to teach a period at DP, because the way since we're reducing the number of course takes, they still have to give her the salary for 3 courses. But if she can only teach 2, she'd have to go to a different school. And teachers, since we have a lot of young teachers anyways, we're going to have to cut a lot of young teachers in general. So it's going to shift around the teachers from the different schools. So people from DP might have to teach at San Marcos. And of course, the principal is not going to choose the best teachers to come to different schools. So it just messes with the overall culture. And we saw this with the teachers leaving because they didn't have enough pay. We lost over 50% of our teachers my freshman and sophomore year from what we had. And those were those teachers who had been there for a really long time and understood the culture, encouraged kids to participate. We're at all the events. You just shuffle around all the teachers at the different schools, and the culture is no longer the same, because it's just different people who don't have the same attachment and love for their community. And so, yeah, it definitely affects our culture.
Yeah, teachers having to go back and forth and teach at multiple schools, I could see how that would affect the culture. It's not quite like a student, but what if you had to go take a class at DP and then go back to San Marcos? I mean, it's odd, right? It's very strange to be in that situation. And Kian brings up a good point, which is this is all set on the backdrop of this battle that the teachers and the teachers union has had with the district over salaries. And there were plenty of marches and protests. There was a potential for a strike. There were student walkouts. And there's a lot of bad blood that still sort of exists because of that whole situation. And I had written about over the years about, since Superintendent Maldonado came, there's been an exodus of people on the cabinet. Teachers have left, administrators, and it's a whole new culture. So I don't think you can overstate the importance of when you have people who come in and have not been part of the community culture of the district, kind of messing things up, that there's going to be impacts, and we're seeing them on the ground for sure. At that meeting, Naomi Jane, you were there. Michelle Voigt, your mother was there. She spoke, and she was great. She got up there. She said, we're watching you in election time, and we're going to be held accountable for this decision. And she was very bold and brave to say all of that. Um, you know, I was sort of struck by board member Bill Banning, and he made this comment about how when could we have a special meeting? Because one of the board members wanted to do a special meeting to I guess figure out where they could get the money to preserve some of these positions. And he said, we're not going to have time. And besides, we're going to have another 3 hours of public comment where, these people are going to be taking up our time. And that was not met very well from the people in the audience. I know we don't want to personalize things, but these are elected officials. Like they do choose to run for these positions to be in the public eye. And it's very different than a staff member. What do you think of Bill Banning and when he said this? I'll start with you, Naomi.
Um, I think it was definitely a surprise to hear. I know you talked to Gabe Escobedo on the podcast, I think a couple of days ago, and you guys talked about this subject too. And he said that it was we were tired and that he didn't think that banning meant for it to come out that way. I feel like when you are tired, you say the things that you truly are thinking and you mean in the moment. Not trying to put it aside and be like, oh, he's tired. I was like, well, then he's saying what he's thinking. He's not really like, he's not thinking about what he's saying. So I believe that he meant what he said, and I don't take it lightly. I think that, especially for the students that chose to be there till 3 a.m. when we had school the next day, it's offensive that it's our time. I could be my friend Sadie. She was studying for her AP environmental science exam that was the next day in that board meeting, and so she was taking that time to be there and to support something she loved and speak out about it, just to be silenced and diminished by no offense, an older man on the board, especially being a young woman speaking out against a board of some older men and then some women. It's scary. And I think, I don't know, I feel like in that moment, us students, at least I felt like my power in that moment was taken away. My voice got taken away. And kind of like my passion got taken away. I felt squashed. I felt defeated. However, we did not give up. We still stayed. And like you said, we showed our unhappiness with that comment. So, I mean, I think that even though it was late, he meant it, because tired isn't a good enough excuse for me.
Right. Yeah, no, that is true. And I said this on my show, is that Manning was overthinking it in the sense of he was coming at it from his sole perspective of numbers, budget, economics. And when else are you going to have the opportunity to be looking out at a room full of students and student voices and young voices? That is exactly what you want to listen to, because it reminds you why you got into the role in the first place, hopefully. And there's no downside to siding with students if you're in elected office. Like, you're really going to choose what anybody with any basic knowledge of a budget would do, or are you going to try to be artistic, creative, and figure out how to balance the budget when you're looking at all these students and you're seeing the impact of it as well? And that was what was disappointing. So that's interesting. Chloe, a couple days later, there was a protest on Cabrillo Boulevard by Stearns Wharf. And I was out there, and I did an interview with you and some other students. Talk to me about why it's so important that this is not just a Tuesday night thing for you to do every 2 weeks at the board. You're choosing to take part in this on your own time. and Kian was there, Naomi Jane was there, and there were a bunch of other people there. What was that Saturday like for you? You know, seeing people drive by, honk their horns, and that whole moment.
Personally, I felt it was very uplifting. It made us students feel like we weren't alone and that we were supported by not only our community, but strangers completely outside of our community as well. So it just really, I think it was very powerful. I think it made all of us feel really empowered. And I feel like it's just made me feel like we can fix this. We can win. And I think that just being there with my community and my friends, it was not only a protest, but it was also a bonding moment for our community. And I think that this is something that is worth our time because this is something we do every day. We do this every day at school, and it's a place where everyone goes to be a community every single day. So I want to take my time to keep it so I can do this every day. And so I think it's really important to go take time, spend our time doing it, because if we don't spend our time doing it, no one else will. So I think protests are really important. I have a teen theater company that I run called YouthClusive, and basically we are free, inclusive, and we're run by teenagers. And we just did a production of SpongeBob the Musical a couple weeks ago, and we're helping organize the next protest, which is going to be at the next Santa Barbara Unified School District Board meeting on April 8th, I believe, and at the district headquarters, 720 Santa Barbara Street, from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And you can follow YouthClusive for the Arts on Instagram for more details. But yeah, I think it's important for us to speak out outside of the board meeting as well, because the board meeting is only one day, and I feel like that's not enough time for us to really say what we feel, because we feel so much from music and we need to speak out about it more, because only having 2 minutes to speak really cuts all of our feelings in half, basically, because our feelings about music and our passion for music is endless.
Yeah. Is your program for anybody in the community, or is it a San Marcos thing, or who
It's
signs
for
up?
it's for anyone, basically from ages, I think, like, well, our youngest was 10 recently, but it depends on the show we're doing, but we go up to 18, and anyone, basically, whoever, wherever, can join and do productions with us. So
That's great. And you're going to have a big protest. So something to look forward to and cover for me on April 8th. Kian, you were at that board meeting. I want to give you a chance to comment on Banning's comments, but also come back at you from is the student body at San Marcos, have been talking about like what's next as far as organizing and speaking out to the superintendent and the board?
Sure. So the way I see Banning's comment, it's just seems to me that his perspective and the board's perspective is just a bit off, because obviously they haven't been in a classroom in so many years, and they see things in such an economic way. Um, and they seem to have lost like the idea of what truly matters in the district. Um, and the thing that is so ironic about it is that it's their fault that they didn't spend the time preparing a better plan that could cut further away from students in the months before. And the special meeting that he was commenting that was going to waste his time, they were not going to vote right then and there to decide, oh, are we going to not do the cuts, or are we going to? It was just, the meeting was just to give board member Caffrey and of course the whole board, but specifically her, just some time to at least try. And the fact that they cared more about having a free Thursday afternoon than doing their elected position's job was just, it just felt just very, their intentions were wrong, and their heart is not in the right place with this. And sorry, what was your other part of the question?
I was just wondering, as ASB president, is there any effort, any organized effort to speak with Maldonado or the district to sort of say, hey, here's where we stand on these issues?
Yeah, well, there is a program known as the Student Advisory Council, which is where our student board member and the superintendent Maldonado holds a meeting with the three schools or anyone from the three schools who wants to attend, and they bring up some of the pressing issues, which obviously lately has been the mental health awareness stuff and the mental wellness centers. But one of the things we brought up at this last one was some of the decisions for the budget, and it seemed that Maldonado at that meeting was definitely sort of playing the victim, and I obviously understand that it's a hard position for her to be in, but she was very much saying that it was like it was not a choice. It was required that they make those cuts, and it was it was like required it was sorry she was putting it on the principals to make the final decisions, which obviously is part of it, but she was just playing the victim in that sort of area. So I really encourage students to come to the next one. I think it's the second Wednesday of each month, and attend this meeting, and you can bring your complaints to the board or to Maldonado, and she'll and like more directly communicate those things with her. So that's one of the things that students can do.
Yeah, I mean, she has said that, oh, the site leaders will make the decision kind of thing, which
Yeah.
she has the power to make decisions about who she hires in the cabinet. Then she has the power to make decisions about who's no longer going to be working in the cabinet. I want to ask you, Naomi Jane, a couple questions about your Santa Barbara Teen Star status. And one of the cool things was this is, of course, I've heard of Teen Star over the years, and there have been some amazing people who've won that competition. But this is the first time I got to interact because I mostly cover government and politics and news sort of articles. So it's kind of cool. Like, wow, this public speaker, she's the Santa Barbara Teen Star, and I went on the YouTube and watched the performances and how well you were received. And you said when you spoke in public comment, you said you're the Teen Star. And it seems like you're using this platform that you have, this title that you have, for this purpose, to raise awareness, to sort of lift up everyone. So can you talk about winning that and also how you're using it effectively to help everybody?
Yeah, well, I think I talked to you, I think, before about how Teen Star is a community of these talented kids who love the arts, the music and singing from different schools coming together and sharing their talents with the community, which I think is such an important and special thing that we're able to do. I mean, it was an honor winning. It was a very hard competition, but I made some incredible friends through it. Um, I think with winning Teen Star, it gives me that credibility where I'm able to use that title to get things done. Um, Catherine, who is at K Light, she
Remax.
was a judge for Teen Star, and now we are really good friends. And before the board meeting, I actually contacted her and asked her if I could go with some San Marcos students and talk on the radio about what's happening tonight so we could get more people to go to the board meeting and speak out. I also reached out to KEYT because they also did a segment of me winning Teen Star. So I just think it's so important when you are given those connections to use them and not just sit on them, especially when the thing that you love so much and the thing you won for is being jeopardized. And I think, especially with my dreams of I want to be a performer, I want to sing the rest of my life. Celebrities are that public figure, and they use their I don't want to say their fame, but like they use their title to stand up for what they believe in. And I think it's important that with that title, I not only stand up for what I believe in, but what for others believe in as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is true because you could very easily be focused on yourself only and not what everyone at the school is contending with. So it is admirable that you're so active because you don't have to be. Told you I watched the video. Let me ask you a question. There were normally three finalists, and then um, Andrew Firestone, right, said
Yeah.
that, oh, they're so close. We have four. Were you, and so they got to that last one, and you ended up being the fourth.
Mhm.
Can you help us? This is a teen star conversation just for a moment, but were you nervous? Were you like, oh, I'm not gonna like, I mean, what was going through your mind thinking this is the last name they're gonna call?
My heart sank. I think when they named that third finalist, I was like, well, I tried. I'll call it a day. Um, but when they called the fourth finalist, it was kind of like a little boost of hope, and I was like, oh, like now I have to go full out. Like I barely made it in. So I was definitely nervous, especially with my last song, which is it's very vocally challenging since it's like an operatic classical piece.
Mm.
And when nerves meet operatic classical, it can cause voice cracks and all that stuff. And as a teenager, voice cracks are not my friend. So yes, I was nervous. Sometimes when I perform, I like completely black out and I kind of just go on autopilot mode, which kind of happened. But no, I was honestly terrified. But like I said, I was blessed and I'm honored and I'm so lucky that I was able to be that fourth finalist and I had that second opportunity to prove myself not only to the judges but to my community.
Yeah, that was cool. It's as somebody watching it, you kind of want everyone to win because you don't want anyone to be sad. You're just like, and they're so brave, and everyone's talented. And so, there has to be one winner because that's just the way it works. But that was an incredible moment to see you that, happy and everyone happy for you as well. And Chloe, you two are sisters, which I guess is obvious with your name and being on screen here. Um, can you talk a little bit about your musical career and what you're doing and what your goals are going forward?
Yeah, so I'm very much more into the acting and directing perspective, but I also do sing, obviously, but my goal in life is to be an actor and a director. So I started my own theater company this year and I direct it. I'm the director and also the founder. And so I've just been trying to help other people find their voice and also find another community outside of their school. And I've been acting my whole life, so I've done a couple films and TV shows. But yeah, I want to direct and act. That's my dream in life.
Yeah, that's great. That's amazing. We're gonna, we got about 10 more minutes here, so I want to kind of give everybody one last opportunity to speak directly to the board, directly to Hilda Maldonado. The cabinet. I did a story on how much the cabinet was paid, but I mean everyone there is making $200,000 at least. They're all new. Teachers do make nothing near that. You've got a board that, they're kind of all over the place, but they generally kind of side with the superintendent. That's why Celeste Caffrey was so interesting that she actually came out and was saying, no, we're not going to do that. Let's look at administration. It's so rare. So let me just kind of go around and I'll start with you, Kian. Just kind of some final thoughts, on that issue, overall, the salary issue. What do you want
Sure.
to say to the board in the district?
Um, yeah, and Miss Caffrey, the cool thing about her is the teachers union actually worked to help get her a spot in the board. So she really is great, and she's been very helpful. I just specifically want to say to the board and everyone that um, it's really important to realize that the board and SB Unified as a whole is very top heavy. And if you cut an advisor of Maldonado, how many students are going to be affected? Barely any. If you cut a band director, tons of students who want to pursue a music career right now can't because they can't afford any other way to play. They won't, and they probably won't be able to attend college for music because they don't have that record. And then thousands more will be affected in the future because they can't go through that program. And I'm already worried that might happen to Santa Barbara High School. And then, of course, the culture. It's very difficult to repair a culture that is damaged because it takes a lot of time to build up that culture. And the board, when they see everything as such an economic thing, like, oh, it's fine, we cut these teachers, it's fine. We'll just throw some other ones in there who are cheaper. We if some like older teachers are leaving, it's fine. Like this is like from like the last few years when they weren't paying them enough. It's fine. We'll just have a bunch of them leave, and we'll just throw some new ones in. But that affects the culture. And but one thing that we can see from last year's events and the teachers pushing so hard to make sure that their salaries are increased is that, of course, the board will always just try to compromise to whatever they can to stop people from trying to protest. But the teachers never stopped. They did not stop until they got what they wanted. And the same should be the case for us who are trying to work to try to make sure that that these cuts don't go through. May 15th is the final deadline. There is still time for each school to rearrange who actually is going to get cut. We only have the notices right now, not the cuts. So we are going to keep protesting on the Stearns Wharf. We're going to keep protesting at the board meetings. We're going to keep coming to the student advisory council meetings. We will be doing everything that we can to make sure that the most important thing in schools, which is the students, gets preserved, right? That's what I wanted to say.
Great. Thank you. Well said, Kian. Chloe, final thoughts. What do you want to tell the board in the district?
I just want to say you can't call yourself a board of education when you're stripping our education away from us. And I also just wanted to say, if if you listen to us speak and you even are the slightest bit touched, please follow YouthClusive for the Arts and please come to our protests. Even just one more person showing up will make a huge difference because there's power in numbers, and it's so important not only to us kids, but also to future generations of kids. So if you have a kid that's growing up and then they're going to go through the Santa Barbara district, just think about them not having even the slightest possibility to even pursue a music career because they don't have that education. Even in elementary levels and middle school levels, this isn't just about San Marcos or the high schools. It's about every school in our district. And I just think I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, and that's a good point. This is, the three of you are obviously standouts at San Marcos, but um, all the high schools, everyone's affected, and it isn't just one school. It's sort of a movement, and we saw that with those walkouts. Santa Barbara High walked out, DP, San Marcos, the junior highs walked out. That's a great thing. If there's anything sort of good coming out of some of this division is sort of seeing the unity among the campuses coming together. And normally, you're competitive as you should be with high schools, but that's been great to watch. Naomi Jane, last word here. What do you want people to know about this situation going forward?
I think I want everyone to know that we are not gonna stop. I think someone said this at the board meeting, is that us music and arts people, we're a little bit crazy and we don't give up easily. No threats, just putting that out there. I think I would like to bring up for Maldonado that when the Hope District was going bankrupt and they did not have enough money, similar position that we're in now, but just a little bit worse, their superintendent actually took a pay cut. Just putting that out there as a little idea for our superintendent. Little idea. Maybe you should think about that one before cutting more teachers and sending out more RIFs. But yeah, like I said, we're offended, we're hurt. I can promise you that there are 30, maybe like 60 more students that if they were given the opportunity like the three of us have today, they would take it, because us students in our community at not only San Marcos, but the Santa Barbara Unified School District, we will stand up and speak up for what we believe in, what brings us to school every day, why we wake up every morning, especially at 8:30 to go to school. And yeah, like I said, we won't give up. So if you don't want us at those board meetings, maybe you should stop tuning us out and start listening.
Great. Well, again, my pleasure to be able to have a conversation with all of you, and thank you for agreeing to come on and share your messages for the community, and it gives you more than that 2 or 3 minutes that the school board was going to give you. And so, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time, and I'll be there. Whatever I find out about, whatever you let me know about protest events, I'll be there doing the best job I can journalistically. I am a teacher myself, not in Santa Barbara Unified, but at Santa Barbara City College teaching journalism. And so I do have a lot of young students that I interact with all the time. And, it's the best time of life. You all are a little bit younger, but, 18, 19, 20, your age, 14, 15, 16, 17, you can do anything, right? You still have that desire, that hunger, that belief. You're not jaded. You have confidence, that power is within you, and you're not going to let anything stop you. And sadly, the older you get, for some people, they forget about that. And so that's what's so amazing to watch all of you in this time, in this moment, is you people are so strong and you're letting everyone know that. And so it's inspirational to people of all ages. So thank you for everything that you do. Kian Strenn, Chloe Voigt, Naomi Jane Voigt, thanks so much for your time. And I'll see you around. Take care.
Thank you for your
Thank
support
you.
always. Thank you.
Thank you.